For the longest time, it was Nintendo and Sony machines receiving the most attention within the retro community for things like hacks and translations. In all honesty, they still do, but machines that were completely ignored 10 years ago are seeing everything from English translations to new graphics and sound, and even entirely new engines replacing the old. It really has become exciting to sit back and watch the community pull these projects together and create new experiences for old game machines. What had once been dominated by a deluge of hacks for Sonic and Streets of Rage 2 has now branched out to include games I never thought would get any attention at all. In this episode, we are going to take a look at some of my current favorite hacks and translations. Most of these are extremely easy to get working and in some cases make a heck of a difference in the enjoyment you can get out of them. You can get all of these at romhacking.net, and each one comes with instructions on how to apply the patch. I have a total of 10 for you, so let's get started. I have been loving the stuff people are doing with the 32X Doom recently. New levels, quality of life improvements, and an entirely new game engine is out there for you to play now. One of my favorites is the addition of Thy Flesh Consumed. One of the things that sucked about the original was the lack of content and stuff being cut. So these new stages really add a big boost to its replayability. You also get some new visual and music changes as an added bonus. I'm hoping that at some point these get moved over to the new Doom engine that has just been done for the 32X, but for now this will do. You can also get some stages for Doom 2 on the 32X, and these are some good ones. Like many of you, I really enjoyed the 32X port of Mortal Kombat 2. While it wasn't arcade perfect at all, it was still a noticeable improvement over the Genesis original. Mortal Kombat 2 Ultimate Edition attempts to make those improvements even better. Here you get a number of color and music changes to bring it in line much closer to the original coin-op. Some stages come through better than others, but overall I think it's a solid patch for those that enjoy this version.
Round 1, fight! Round 1, fight!
Back in the 80s and 90s, a lot of role-playing games that were English translated underwent some pretty profound script changes. Phantasy Star on the Master System was one such game. In an effort to bring it back, Phantasy Star is also a famously difficult RPG that tends to crush newcomers. This also comes with a built-in cheat system that alleviates some of that brutal challenge, so if this kicked your ass in the past, you may include more information. There's a new sound test and more save slots as well. This is the best way to play this classic now, and I highly recommend it. These make it even better with an FM soundtrack. This hack makes the original PSG and new FM soundtracks selectable at the title screen with a push of the pause button on the console. This is a great addition if you have original hardware with the FM chip inside. If you were a fan of this one, I really do think you should give it a go. I think it does a great job of capturing the essence of what made these games sound so great. Color hacks are nothing new for Genesis ROMs, but I really appreciate it when they correct things that should have looked great to begin with. This patch for Super Street Fighter 2 The New Challengers really brightens up every single minute with the sound hack really improves this port top to bottom. Going through, I really appreciated most of the changes, which are also across areas like the title screen and the fighter selection. It's amazing how something like this can make such a big difference, but it does, and it's now my go-to ROM whenever I play it.
Round 1, fight!
While I was looking into the Street Fighter hacks, I also ran across Street Fighter 2 The World Warrior Plus, from the same dude that did the last one. In this one he aims to make Special Champion Edition look and play more like the original Street Fighter 2. I really enjoyed this hack because it changes the look and feel of the stages enough to be its own thing. It's cool to see what it would have looked like if Capcom had ported this to the Genesis at the same time as the original Super Nintendo release. For those wondering, the sound hacks appear to be already applied here as well, making this an all-in-one winner.
Sonic Boom! Sonic Boom! Sonic Boom!
Nowadays, there are a ton of SRAM hacks out there. These are essentially small changes to the ROM that allow you to save your place without the need for save states. And if there was ever a Genesis game that needed a save system, it was Kid Chameleon. This adventure had a ton of stages to explore, and with the original cartridge, you had to start from the beginning every single time. Now you get to keep your spot and focus on the gameplay, instead of retreading the same few stages over and over. Sega skimped on the save systems for many of its Genesis games, so be on the lookout for similar hacks for your favorite titles. Final Fight on the Sega CD was a killer port. It had all the playable characters, a really good soundtrack, and of course that great multiplayer. One area where it definitely took a hit was its lower on-screen color. It wasn't bad, mind you, it was just noticeable next to the likes of the arcade and Super Nintendo versions. Thankfully, it's Pyron to the rescue with an enhanced patch to help bring the Sega version closer to your expectations. It really is a big improvement across the board. Skin tones, costumes, and backgrounds all look much better. As far as I can tell, no gameplay changes were made, but I'd love to see someone take this and speed up the attack animation a tad. Even so, as it is, it's well worth getting, and another one that I use regularly. Magic Knight Rayearth made a showing on the Game Gear in 1994, but was only released in Japan. A few years ago, there was a translation done for it that now allows you to play the entire game in English. It's not very long and there are better games on the platform, but beggars can't be choosers when it comes to Sega RPGs. It's colorful, cute, and very easy to play. You can definitely tell it was aimed at a younger audience, so if you enjoy lighthearted adventures, this one should hit the spot. The sad reality is that most of the better Sega Saturn games were left in Japan. On the bright side, the increased popularity of the Saturn in recent years has seen a surge in interest to translate some of these games. If you were a fan of Cotton 2 like me, this one is a must-play. The original Saturn and arcade versions of this were both Japanese exclusives. meaning that if you wanted to understand the story, you'd need a translator to do it. But after all these years, the original Saturn release is now fully playable in English. I know, it's a shooter, who cares about the story, but it's nice to have this one as if Success had done the port themselves. I always loved the way this looked and played, so having everything else done in my native language is a real treat. If my buddy Saturn Dave is listening, you really need to do a US long box release for this. It's got your name written all over it. So there we are, some of the hacks and translations I'm messing around with these days. There are tons more out there, and some of them are even getting physical reproductions done. It's always fun to see changes to your favorite games, and sometimes additional content and improvements that really make a difference. Most of these are easy to patch as well. Just be sure to follow the proper instructions, use the correct ROM revision it's asking for, and be careful mixing different patches together. Sometimes you'll break the game entirely. While all of these will work with your favorite emulators, they will work with real hardware as well. Just copy them over to whatever flash device and off you go. Our great community of retro tinkerers are doing a hell of a job making the hobby even better. Just because something is old doesn't mean it can't be made new again, and I hope all these guys keep at it. I'm Sega Lord X, thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you next time.